Well, Razorback fans, we know that fall camp is underway and Razorback football is a big deal, but Razorback basketball might be even a bigger deal right now. So we're going to talk about it on a very special edition of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors, and I'm also joined by a very special guest who's going to be joining us on the afternoon edition of Locked On Razorbacks. Moving forward, that's right, talking basketball for the Pod at the Palace edition of Locked On Razorbacks. It is Curtis Wilkerson. And Curtis, I don't know if this is I feel like you've been on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast before, but this might be the first time, at least as an official co-host of the podcast.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think we did a few episodes back when Muss and the squad were over in Spain and Italy and all that. And I think we did one at one of the NCAA tournament trips we were on. But no, this is very cool, very excited. And, yeah, you know, fall camp's rolling for football, but basketball never sleeps around Arkansas. We both know this. I know,
especially with the John Calipari hire. And ever since then, it's like people just can't get enough of it. And that's what's going to make this so much fun, is just being able to, you know, if football's not what everyone's excited about, or if football's not going to go so well in the early parts, we provide some basketball for some excitement to build up to that once it actually gets going in October. So looking forward to being able to do this frequently. In fact, talking a little basketball pretty much each and every week, multiple times. So a lot of things to get into, but I know that one of the things, of course, is talking about the starting rotation, because I'm sure a question you've been asked a lot is just like, oh, so who's going to be the starting five for this team? Who's going to be? Because you have so much talent. It's kind of not, it's a it's a good problem to have, but also something that's going to be interesting once the season gets rolling.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that we've reached this point. I mean, it feels like yesterday that we were kind of streaming the John Calipari's coming to Arkansas news, and it's actually been like 4 months, I guess, since he's had the job. So, you know, the roster's been built, summer workouts have come and gone. And I mean, this is the type of time of year where you really want to start, you know, getting into that pecking order a little bit, you know, projecting those depth charts and then looking back at it after opening night and seeing if you were smart or way off on your projections. So it's exciting, man. We know that Cal's got a unique philosophy, right, with how he's building the roster. With Muss, it was like you're going to have 12 or 13 of the exact same player, you know, switchable wings that can't shoot, and good luck trying to figure out who's going to play where. Cal's doing a little bit different. He doesn't want to have too many cooks in the kitchen, too many mouths to feed. He's got that top nine. It's balanced: 3 guards, 3 wings, 3 bigs. Good for continuity, scary for depth. But I think we can get into it a little bit, and I'm anxious to see if my lineup matches yours, and you know, we'll kind of take it from there. But I don't think there's a better place to start the conversation, John, than point guard, right? I mean, Cal has taken a lot of heat the last few years at Kentucky for roster construction and maybe not being up with the times, and it seems like he's trying to learn from his mistakes a little bit, not relying on so many young players. And here we go right away at point guard with DJ Wagner and Boogie Fland, right? I'm going to put you on the spot right away. Where are you at with that point guard position? Where's your mind at?
Well, see, I mean, DJ Wagner to me is like just an automatic, I would think. I mean, because you're thinking about a guy who, of course, played at Kentucky, and I guess he was like the number one, or at least one of the top players in the country coming out of high school. And it's just so funny how, you know, at Kentucky, he averaged just a little under 10 points a game. And some people, mainly Big Blue Nation, kind of look at it as just like, oh, man, he was trash. It's like, well, okay. You know, obviously, the scouts usually get it right when they're coming out of high school. But yeah, I think DJ Wagner's the obvious answer. And I felt like when the process was going on of when he was actually going to come to Arkansas, it's like, I know you kind of felt it, and then you kind of found out about it, that it happened, but it still wasn't being like officially announced. It was really weird, but
strange.
Yeah, he ended up being the guy. But yeah, I think it's Wagner, man. I mean, he is I went back and watched some of his film at Kentucky. You know, again, you could just take from all the bad plays he made or all the good plays you made, kind of depending on it. But I feel like Wagner's the easy choice here.
Yeah, I tend to think so too. Now, I got to say, there's something about Boogie Fland, John. I mean, he's not your typical freshman. I mean, a 5-star kid, McDonald's All-American. He's got that New York swagger about him. He's a playmaker. He brings much needed shooting, which is something that they're going to lean on from him. In a lot of ways, like Boogie Fland's kind of the John Calipari backcourt prototype, if you think about some of those guards that he's produced and sent to the league. But John, did you know that that John Calipari started DJ Wagner over Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham last season? Or are you on the Big Blue Nation mailing list for that every day?
Yeah, I've heard that. I heard that. It was in all the papers this morning too. Yeah, it was. It's crazy.
Yeah,
exactly. One thing, man, they stick with it and they will not let you forget about it.
That's right. That's right. So for me, like if I'm building a John Calipari starting lineup, I'm looking for where I'm going to put a freshman because he's going to have at least one in there. Boogie might be the best of that bunch, but I can't justify projecting him as a starter when DJ Wagner got the nod over a couple lottery picks last season, and he's got a year under his belt now. And you touched on the other part of that. I think folks get too caught up in that part of it and too caught up and maybe DJ didn't live up to that one and done hype. But like you said, kid averaged 10 points and almost 3.5 assists per game as a true freshman in the SEC. He's got that experience under his belt. He's only going to get better. Needs to shoot it more consistently, needs to get healthy too, because that ankle's still not 100%. But yeah, I think that's where the conversation starts at point guard is DJ Wagner. And so people automatically think, well, if that's the case, so what is Boogie just not going to play? What's going on here? No, because I think we're both going to agree on the next spot, which is going to be the 2 guard. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah.
Nelly Davis, John L. Davis, Sharpie, book it. He's your guy. Easy
if there was ever a guaranteed starter, I feel like it's probably going to be the number 1 transfer portal player in the country who averaged like 19 points a game at FAU last year. Probably a good guess there.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's true. No need to go too deep into it. I mean, I love what his teammates had to say about him in terms of his leadership. They call him Unk. John, do you remember the last Razorback that was nicknamed Unk?
It wasn't. Oh, man. No, I should know this, but no, I don't remember. Who was it?
Trey Wade. And you got to have that dynamic in the locker room. I love it.
Dude, I didn't know why I wanted to say Jalen Graham. I have no idea why I wanted to say that. But okay, yes, Trey Wade, I do remember though.
Yeah, and so there you go. And I'm not stressing about it because it's that 3 guard rotation for the most part, right? So let's say Boogie Flan doesn't start at the point guard. Well, he's going to get some minutes as shooting guard too. If you're playing Nelly Davis 30 minutes at the 2, then you're going to have somebody filling in there. He can shoot it. So if Wagner starts, he's playing 25 minutes at the 1. There's still plenty of room for all 3 of those guys in the rotation. Your backcourt set, good to go.
Before we continue on with our starting rotation for the Razorback basketball team, I want to remind everybody that we are brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. It's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has guaranteed you maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number 1 ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. So with all the parts that you need and all the car parts and prices that you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home the huge win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, so let's continue on with our starting rotation. I think we're on board through 2, Curtis, with the point guard and the other guard, because we got, of course, both DJ Wagner and John L. Davis. So where do we go from here?
Yeah, I mean, if we're sticking with the theme from Cal, 3 guards, 3 wings, 3 bigs, right? Then we slide down there to the 3, and that trio. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, man. Carter Knox, Billy Richmond, the 2 5-star freshmen, and then Adut Thiero, the guy who's played with or for Cal for the last couple years. I think there's some real debate to be had here at the 3 with these guys. My opinion's actually changed a little bit since listening to Cal last week. I want to give the floor to you first, though. Who do you have at the 3?
I have Thiero, and the reason being is because, and it may be a stupid reason, but I'm going to roll with it anyways, because a good friend of mine, Bobby Regan from Barstool Sports, is a big UK guy, and he is obnoxious. He's a very obnoxious Kentucky fan. And there was only one player that he ever texted me about that it was like, hey, this is actually a good player. This is actually a good get. I'm actually going to miss this player. And that was Adut Thiero. So I was like, okay, well, if that's one thing that I can at least give him credit for, it's that. So, and then of course it's more than that. I watched him a little bit, of course, in his highlights in Kentucky. Dude's a freak athlete. I mean, incredible athleticism, and he's kind of in that perfect spot to where he can, he has the ability and the wingspan to be able to guard guards, but he can also step up in that forward position. So I felt like it would be it'd be almost bad to not have him in the starting rotation at some point. I feel like this is the perfect spot for him.
I like that you said that, and I like that we're going to differ a little bit here, but it's going to make sense in a minute. I'm going Carter Knox, and the reason why is because I said earlier, I just feel like you got to have a freshman in a John Calipari lineup. There's no way he's not going to do that, in my opinion. His brother played for Cal. I love that he mentioned emphasizing with him not settling for jumpers, attacking the rim a little bit more. I'm also pretty sure if you listen to that press conference, Carter Knox is who Cal was referring to when he said somebody came in at 20% body fat and trimmed down to 12. I'm pretty sure that was him. So I think that's going to be your guy. I like his game a lot. Billy Richmond is interesting to me because I was thinking of him as the de facto ninth guy this whole time. Every time Arkansas puts out a highlight clip, Billy Richmond is on it.
Yeah.
And Cal talked about him in his presser, and he said, hey, this dude is good. If he shoots it consistently, he can get by anybody. He might be in for a bigger role than me. So you think, okay, Curtis, well, Carter Knox, Billy Richmond, what's going to happen with Thiero? For me, I slide Thiero into my starting lineup at the 4. I think he's going to play some at the 3 on the wing, but he's so interchangeable. I start him at the 4. So we both have him in the lineup for all the reasons you said, just at different positions.
Yeah. Well, which we'll take, we got, because here's the thing. It's like, I don't know the ins and outs of Cal, but I mean, it seems like he's not one of those coaches. It's like, okay, I got my 5 and I'm rolling with this until the cows come home and I'm not changing it. So, I mean, I think it's matchup based, but I think at least we both agree that he's also somebody that needs to be in the starting lineup and needs to be a guy that's could have a huge season and a breakout season too.
I'm assuming if you have Thiero at the 3, that you've got Trevin Brazile at the 4.
Man, it's almost like you read my notes or something like that. Yeah, I do have Trevin Brazile at the 4. And here's the thing. It's so weird how, and I'm not saying all fans are this way, but it's so weird how Razorback fans almost don't like Trevin Brazile. I don't know. It's very strange because it could be just because of the fact that the past 2 seasons that he's been at Arkansas, one of them, he looked really good in the beginning, but then got hurt, but the season wasn't that great. And I don't know, maybe it's like some sort of cognitive thing where they like blame him for that season that didn't go well because he got hurt. I don't know. Maybe it's that. And of course, this past year with all the stupid rumors and drama and all that stuff, I just don't get it because here's the thing. Yeah, he's had problems with injuries. That's evident. But when the dude's healthy, I mean, let's not forget this dude was the SEC Player of the Week during the Duke week when Arkansas won that game. And he was I'm not going to say the main reason, but one of the main reasons they won that game. When he's healthy, he has so much going for him. And I thought it was kind of funny too when Cal was talking about how, the shooting of threes. It's like, hey, you're going to shoot threes. You're not going to shoot threes. Kind of feels like, hey, Trevin Brazile is not going to be a guy that's going to be shooting threes as much as he did last year, which I think is a good thing because he can, but doesn't mean he should.
Don't rely on it.
Dude, his game is above the rim. Those lobs, those dunks, just all of that. So I feel like as long as he's healthy and he's put in a position to be successful, which I think Cal will do, I think you got to put him in the starting rotation.
Yeah, I love Trevin Brazile. If he's starting, I'm happy. I really don't think you can go wrong either way at this position. I think him and Thiero complement each other really well there. Thiero's a little bit more versatile defensively. Brazile's got more of a versatile game offensively. So great. Who starts, who comes off the bench, I don't really care. I think they're both going to play a huge role. I'm excited for TB. I kind of like him off the bench a little bit just because he's like the security blanket, like the insurance policy at center. Because you've only got 2 guys there. And I think that's pretty straightforward, right? I mean, you've got Jonas Adu, the proven all SEC commodity. I've got him in my starting lineup and complemented by a 7'2" kid with a super high ceiling that jumps off the page as a breakout guy in Big Z. I mean, that's a heck of a 1-2 punch there.
Yeah. Cause I was even thinking about like, the type of game and the type of teams that they'll be playing. And when they go with the size and all of that, because that's my other guy is Jonas Adu as the 5th guy. And because, last year what he did at Tennessee goes to the Elite 8. He's just all SEC defensive team. And we know that as good as an offense you may have, defense is really what's going to be a key in your success, especially in March. So having a guy like that who improved so dramatically at a year at Tennessee, coming into Arkansas and kind of knowing his role and knowing with the experience that he has in the SEC, I feel like just having his presence there, I don't know what his average is going to be points wise or rebound wise or whatever, but just his presence there and his experience, I think, is going to be huge for this team. So that's why I have him kind of being that big man down low because of his year last year, but also his potential moving forward too.
There you go. I mean, 4 of our starters are the same.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, before we move on, though, I got to ask. So what if we were to flip it to where it was like this interchangeable, almost like an honorable mention, a sixth man type of thing? But who would you put on as the next guy up after the starting 5 that you listed out?
Yeah, Brazil.
Yeah.
TB would be for me because I really could have gone either way there. So yeah,
that's fair. I think mine's going to be Boogie Bland. Just because, I mean, again, I really like his game too. And seeing, I don't know if it means anything, but like the first 3 players we got to talk to and from the media and the press conference, like he was one of them. So I was like, okay, that must mean something. Must mean something if you're Calipari, but still. So yeah, there's our starting rotation for the Razorback basketball team, and we'll continue to talk a little bit about the Razorback basketball team here in just a second. But folks, we love sports. We love them so much. We never want them to stop. But we know that during this time of year, sports start to slow down, but they're about to start picking up once again. And because of that, you need to check out FanDuel. They're hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone all day, every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. It's FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, so we're going to continue on with our next topic. And this is the thing, though, is that you're probably, if you're looking at the video here on YouTube, you're probably looking at the side graphic and you're like, what is that word? What did you misspell? Like, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to let Curtis do this because I had to kind of, figure it out myself. It's the Torvik for stat projections. So what is the Torvik stat projections, Curtis, for those who don't know?
Torvik is KenPom, but for free. And so if you're an analytics nerd like me, that's exactly what you're looking for. They do projections, rankings, efficiency. They're actually getting added to the NCAA tournament evaluation team sheet. So it's one of the metrics that they're going to use for selecting teams for the NCAA tournament. But what I love about them is when you're really in the dog days of summer, they come out with their projections. And so they rank every team in the country and they kind of go through and rank the contributors. So I'm just going to go out on a limb here, John, and say that you have not looked at the barttorvik.com rankings and projections for Arkansas.
No, I have not, because when I typed it in, something else came up that I was not I needed to get out of really quick. So no, I have not had a chance to.
Perfect. Well, then it's pop quiz time. I hope you're ready because I want to hit you with some of these. I thought they were very interesting. So we'll do a little bit of rapid fire on it. Based on everything we just talked about, John, the roster, the talent, Coach Cal, do you believe that Arkansas is a top 25 team in the preseason?
Yes, 100%.
Torvik does not. They have Arkansas at number 36 in those rankings. Does that seem criminally low to you, maybe?
Yes. I look at it as like, dude, forget if you don't know anything about basketball or about players or whatnot. You just look at they had the number 2 high school recruiting class, had number 4 or whatever transfer class, and he brought all of his players from Kentucky too. And then you throw in Trevin Brazil come back. I'm like, how do you not have them in the top 15, much less the top 25? But I guess this guy named Torvik probably knows a little bit more than I do, though. But yeah, that's insane. That's insane.
We'll see. Well, yeah, just wait. Okay. So what they do, John, is they go through and they project the stats and the contributions of basically a top 10 in the rotation for every team in the country. So obviously we've been talking about these top 9. So that's going to be a reason why things are skewed a little bit there. But I'm going to ask you, I'll just see where your mind is at with some of these things. Who do you think Torvik projects as Arkansas's leading scorer? It's a layup here.
Yeah, Nelly Davis.
Nelly Davis, 100%, 16.4 points per game. That sounds about right. There are 3 Razorbacks here projected to average double figures in scoring. You got Nelly Davis. Who do you think the other 2 are?
Ooh, I'd say Wagner, Thiero, and that next one's hard. I'll just throw one out there and just say they're going to go with Boogie.
Okay. DJ Wagner, yes, 13.6 points per game. The other one, Jonas Adu at 11, which is right at what he averaged last year. So your 3 double-digit scorers, Nelly Davis, DJ Wagner, Jonas Adu. Which freshman do you think is projected as the highest scorer?
I'm still going to stick with, I guess I could answer my next question, but yeah, I'm still sticking with Boogie.
You're right. 8.2 points per game. Carter Knox, 6.6. Billy Richmond, 4.1. Who do you think projects as the leader in assists?
I would assume Wagner.
Wagner, 3.1. Okay. So less than he had last season at Kentucky.
Okay.
Boogie Fland is right behind him at 2.8. I think those might be a little bit higher. Who do you think your leading rebounder is?
I mean, I would want to say Adu from Tennessee.
Jonas Adu, 7.4. That's a good number for him. 11.7.4 rebounds. Okay. Trevin Brazile was second at 6.4. I think that's good for him. Nelly Davis was third at 5.1. So a couple final things here as we wrap up. Like I said, Torvik projects it as a 10-man rotation. We know Arkansas is likely only 9 deep. So you got to think about the other guys here. Who do you think on this roster is projected as the 10th man, the 10th contributor?
The 10th contributor.
Yep.
Ooh. So, okay, I cross off my starting 5, and then I'm going to cross off. Ooh, this is going to be tough. I'm going to cross off Big Z. I'm going to cross off. Man, this is a great question. I'll just go out and I'm going to say it's going to be the third freshman that is
Billy Richmond.
Billy Richmond. Yes, thank you.
Billy Richmond is projected 8th with 4.1 points per game, 2.4 boards. Big Z is projected 10th.
Really?
2.5 points, 1.3 rebounds per game. That's significantly less than he had at Kentucky after joining midseason. I flat out guarantee you that he triples both of those projections next year. Well, if he's 10th, who the heck is 9th? Shout out to Melo Sanchez for being projected to be a bigger contributor next season than Big Z. That's crazy. So you want to know why Arkansas is 36th? If you're projecting Big Z, and then also the other guy we haven't mentioned, Adu Thiero, who they have at 4.5 points, 3.1 rebounds, again, lower than everything he produced at Kentucky, to be contributing less than they did at their previous stop, that's one, patently false, and two, why Arkansas is a little bit lower than people, most people or humans have them projected at in their rankings. So whatever, you take this stuff with a grain of salt. Who knows? It's analytics, it's projections, but it's always kind of fun to look at these things and get an early idea of what people are thinking outside of our little bubble here in Fayetteville.
Yeah, and what does Torvik know anyways? Like, I mean, come on. Like, he doesn't know anything. But that's okay. I say it's why they play the games on the court and they settle it on the court. So, but hey, this is a great first edition of Pod at the Palace through Rocked On Razorbacks. Appreciate everybody listening in and watching in. For Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Nabors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. We'll see you then.